The annual fire ban for the city's desert and mountain preserves is officially on for this summer and runs through mid-October. Hello, I'm Deborah Cedillo-Dugan and welcome to another City Update. Joining us today is Parks Deputy Director Alonso Avitia and Park Ranger Roy Demas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, Roy, let's start with us. What is the ban and why now?
The ban really starts in this time of year. The combination of warm weather, of course, that we're going to be going into, the low humidity, and the dry vegetation that's going to be out there. It's really a great formula for a potential fire.
Okay.
So with this fire ban, it's really a tool to help us be proactive and be able to put that out there so folks aren't smoking out in the trail system, of course, or adjacent to the preserve. And of course, no wood or charcoal fires.
Okay, so what really does the ban mean? It means those rules and some.
Correct. So no charcoal fires, no wood fires. You are able to bring propane, and this is in our mountain parks and preserves, not to be confused with our urban parks and our flatland parks. So that's a big piece to note. And then also, of course, when you are smoking, you keep that cigarette butt inside your vehicle.
And that's a good note to say, not the city parks. So what parks are we talking about?
These are our mountain parks and preserves. So anything
okay.
adjacent to our preserves. So you're talking South Mountain, North Mountain, Papago Peak, Camelback Mountain. Those areas that you typically think as mountain parks with our trail system. And our urban parks are more the internal flatland parks like Cesar Chavez Park, Steeling School Park, those areas.
Okay, got it. Now, Roy, you're a park ranger. You've been there for many, many years with the city of Phoenix, and thank you so much for your service and making sure our parks are beautiful and staying safe. How do you police that and monitor to make sure people are in fact kind of following the rules?
Thank you. Well, what we usually do every day as part of our morning routine is we go out to all the trailheads that we're responsible for, and we make sure that the facilities are cleaned and that there's water available at our trailheads that do have water.
Sure.
We meet and greet with the hikers. We do our Take a Hike, Do It Right safety program throughout the summer on various Saturdays, Sundays, or throughout the week. So we like to inform the public to basically be safe out there, to take plenty of water. If they're done with about half the amount of water, we ask them to turn around on the trail so that they get back safely. So that's a big cue for us, and we try to educate the public on that.
Sure, and educating them about the fire ban too.
Correct,
So
educating them about the fire ban, and we talk to them about, a lot of the residents do call and say, what can I do regarding the fire ban, or I have brush behind my home against the preserve, and how do we take care of it? So we, as park rangers, allow them to cut a 10-foot buffer barrier behind their home with dead vegetation, some deadfall that's back there. So basically to clean up behind their house, to put that buffer zone for the property.
That's a great educational outreach too, because we're talking about the trailheads, we're talking about the parks, but the people that do butt against those parks with those trailheads. So that's really, really good to know. And policing and monitoring, especially for a lot of those city slickers that come here from all over and think, oh, I can do this, or who may be a smoker and they just don't really realize that just that little spark can really be catastrophic to our beautiful
Correct,
parks.
and in reference to the individuals that do smoke at the mountain parks, when the rangers are out on foot patrol or in the parking lots on vehicle patrol, we do contact those individuals that we do see smoking and ask them that if they're going to smoke, not to smoke outside their vehicle because of the dry vegetation in the area. And what we run into is sometimes people don't listen and do that, but we find the cigarette butts that have been thrown or flicked outside the vehicle. So we try to make that beforehand contact to say, hey, can you please keep those butts in the vehicle if you choose to smoke in the park?
And we all love Arizona. We love where we live, and it gets very, very, very hot out here. But as we say, it's a dry heat. But with that dryness is all that dry, the shrubs, the bushes, the cacti, and all that, which again could be catastrophic to our beautiful, beautiful land. So let's talk a little bit about the hiking safety, the biking safety. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of miles, and National Geographic has named Phoenix as one of the top places to hike in the country. But we have a couple of campaigns going on to remind our customers and residents, if you will, to be safe out there.
Absolutely. We're very lucky to be here as far as Phoenix, as far as the mountain trails and systems that we do have. And with that comes responsibility, personal responsibility as well. So we have our Take a Hike, Do It Right campaign that we started a couple years ago. It's really just a checklist of items that you should be prepared for. Prepare for the day before, from head to toe kind of scenario as far as your wear. Let people know where you're going. Have your cell phone with you. Like Park Ranger Roy Demas just mentioned, the water scenario, of course. You should be hydrating the day before and the day of. And if you're halfway through your water, you should be coming back. So some of those good reminders for people that you just think, because the weather does change quickly as we experience here. One day it could be a very different 10 degrees higher, which would create an issue for you potentially.
And something you didn't mention, but I know is very, very key and very, very important to consider. My family, we hike and bike and all that, is to let somebody know that you are in fact hiking, that you are in fact biking, what your route is, you know, when you're leaving, when you're expected to be home. Then you kind of know where that person is or where that person should be. And if he or she's not there by that time, you know, something's, you know, could be wrong.
Something could be wrong, absolutely. Any kind of communication you can have with your loved one, your
Right,
friends,
right.
letting people know. It's always great to hike with somebody as opposed to just by yourself.
Right.
So even that initial opportunity to get somebody with you on trail, because you're not sure what you may encounter, small or big. So
Right.
at least letting somebody know where you're going, but it's always great to hike together while you're taking a hike and doing
That's
a ride
right.
out there in our Phoenix Mountain
Absolutely.
Parks
And
Preserve.
you're in my neck of the woods, in the Sonoran Park
Correct.
Trail, the Sonoran Desert. I know, you know, my family loves, you know, again, the whole biking and hiking in that area too. So that same kind of goes for bikers as well, you know, water and making sure you know your limits and to be safe out
Correct.
there.
That applies to everybody who's going on hiking. Your equestrians, your mountain bikers, your
That's right.
hikers, your
Joggers,
families that are out there,
walkers,
jockers,
whatever.
runners. So all that plays an important factor into what you're doing out there.
Right.
And you know, one is letting somebody know where you're going to be,
Right.
when you expect to return. Because if
Right.
you're not at home at that time,
Right.
we've run into situations where we had to go out and possibly do a rescue or
Right.
do a search for somebody, and then we
Right.
end up finding them. And aside from that too, is one of the things we do teach about that is the acronym STOP. Stop what you're doing. If you're in trouble, stop what you're doing. The T stands for think about what's happening to you. The O stands for observe your surroundings, and the P plan. So stop, think, observe, and plan. You stop what you're doing, and you want to plan what's going to happen to you.
Wow.
And also in our
Okay.
trail system, within about the last 2 years, we instituted a QR code system. So if you have a smartphone out there and you're lost,
That's right.
you could go to your smartphone. If you have a QR reader app that's free, scan the QR code, and it'll GPS you exactly where you are. And if you
Wow.
have to call 911, you'll actually have the coordinates. It'll be triangulated to the fire department and to us, and we can get out there and assist you.
Well, that's fascinating. And I'll tell you what, the technology that is used today to help people and rescue is just, it's awesome. It's wonderful. How about biking and horses? What happens then?
Well, there's trail etiquette out there. So the horses have the right of way over the hikers and the bicyclists. So we ask folks that are out there on the trails to give the horses room, let them pass you, because they're an unpredictable animal, so they do spook at times, and that puts the rider in danger.
Oh,
So-
sure. And then, you know, we're talking about animals. Let's get back to you. You know, we have a new dog rule right now that our residents need to know about too.
Absolutely. At the end of 2016, our Parks Board approved a policy to not allow pets, or dogs rather, on our trails after 100 degrees. And that is just a guideline, of course, because it could be too hot even prior to that. But this helps spread the message out there to protect your pets. Make sure you're being cautious about them as well. They're out there barefoot in essence, right? So if you touch the floor for 7 seconds and it's too hot for you with your hand, it's probably too hot for their paws.
Oh my
so
gosh.
please protect your pets.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I want to wind up this very,
Yes.
very interesting interview because we are here really to talk about the fire ban, but there is so much that the parks have to offer with the hiking and the biking and the horseback riding, but they wouldn't be our parks if they weren't protected. So this fire ban is very, very crucial. Give me the highlights again for people to know about.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's protecting the preserve, protecting the property, allows the people to be able to enjoy it in the future. This is just really a precautionary note not to allow these fires to happen. So everybody takes a role in that and takes precaution in that. So no open fires, keep your cigarettes inside your vehicles. And of course, if you need a buffer zone from your home next to a preserve, reach out to us so we can determine what can be taken out.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for your service to make sure our parks are safe, clean,
Thank
and
you.
beautiful to enjoy. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Now, if you'd like more information about city parks, you can go to phoenix.gov/parks. Be safe out there and stay hydrated during these hot summer months. For City Update, I'm Deborah Cedillo Dugan.